when we were having the discussion, I was like, oh my God, seriously, and people do this all the time. What's up, good people? I hope you're doing extremely well. I was talking with someone earlier. We were talking about the things that hurt your financial freedom or hurt your ability to be financially free. And a lot of things kind of struck me as so simple but profound that we really don't think about a lot of the times. And there are really things that really kind of keep us from being financially free and financially able to do things that we want to do in life. So number one, the first thing was where you live. You know, I think a lot of times we get too wrapped up in the luxury, the immediate luxury of where we want to live and how we want to live. And we jump the gun on becoming or looking like we have money or looking like we have prosperity or wealth. And, you know, we get into living situations that really are conducive to building wealth or building our financial futures, but they just look like, you know, where we want to eventually be. And I think, you know, if we just take a little bit of time and not get into the most luxurious or fancy or even just places that we can't afford right off the bat, I think it will go a long way to helping us build real capital and build real wealth and, you know, get to a place of really being able to save the money that you need to save to build wealth. Because that's really what it comes down to. When you first start building wealth, you have to have some kind of income that exceeds your necessities. And, you know, the first one that really takes a really big toll on the income that you bring in is where you live, where you decide to live. And, you know, it's so funny that when we start making more money, we just go to another higher bracket of that. You know, it's like we never take a moment rarely do people take a moment to say, you know what, instead of going and getting into this bigger house or this bigger apartment, you know, I'm going to stay where I'm at and, you know, use that money to invest, use that money to do other things to kind of build wealth. So I think it's just, you know, it's very important if you can kind of think that way early on and really see how those things kind of play out in terms of building wealth. The place you live, the place you stay has a really, really big impact on that. Now, I know there are situations where, you know, we're taking care of other people, we're taking care of kids and other family members where we do need a certain kind of place to stay or a certain kind of, you know, environment that you want those people to be in and yourself to be in with them. So, you know, I know those are the outliers when it comes to where you stay, but even in that, there's always, you know, even just research that we don't do a lot of times about the place that we want to stay, sometimes for lack of time. Like if you're moving from one place to the next and you don't have that time to really put in that time to look at and scout out the things that may be a little more cost effective. And we just kind of jump into situations that really steer us down the wrong path financially in terms of where we decide to live. So that's the first thing. The other thing is the automobile that you drive or your mode of transportation. Now, I know this is a touchy-feely subject for a lot of people because, you know, people got to have that luxury car. A lot of people got to have their luxury car and, you know, they have to, you know, look the part when they're driving down the road to, you know, feel like they are or they have arrived at a certain plateau or status through the car that they drive. But, you know, your mode of transportation, your car, your automobile is one key way that will surefire put you in, you know, a situation where you are not going to be building wealth if you decide to go about that the wrong way and get into luxury cars at, you know, the wrong stage of your life. And really at any stage, if you aren't, you know, looking at those things as an investment and, you know, really have a path to how you can, you know, maintain those things or, you know, allow them to bring in worth. If they're not assets for you, they're just liabilities, you know, and, you know, as we all know, the moment you drive a brand new car off the lot, it starts to lose value unless you are, you know, of a conscious mind of knowing where that value is and how to, you know, utilize that value. And you're going to resell that automobile for a higher price. Unless you really have a grasp of those things, you're just throwing away money pretty much. So it's up to you though. Your value is your value. Let me get that straight. There are sentimental values and there are values outside of just the monetary value that you can get out of things or put into things. Like if you're really gung ho about a specific type of car and you love that car for whatever reason, that's up to you. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think when we're talking about building wealth and when you're talking about being able to put yourself in a financial situation that's going to help you grow financially, an automobile is one thing that will really hurt you. If you make the wrong choice of automobile, buying into a car that loses value and you get upside down in that car, it's something that really is going to hurt you financially for a long period of time if you aren't making the type of income that is going to be able to get you out of that situation. And I know that is at the core of a lot of things. If you're making the money, people feel like if they're making a certain amount of money, then why not? Hey, I can splurge on this, $200,000-$300,000, whatever, and it's like, I get that, but you'll find repeated, scenario after scenario and case after case where even people who are making, a lot of money, when they do that, when they splurge and get into those things, 2-3 years down the line or however long it takes, they end up broke because those things are not assets. They're not bringing in any revenue. So, there comes a time where you might not, in the working world, there comes a time where you might not be making as much money as you once made. And a lot of people will be able to attest to this. You may be working at a career that, makes a certain amount of money. You could lose that job. You could lose that career, or even, be doing something else that is entrepreneurial that has, a really promising future, but that be disrupted. And that's a real thing because, businesses, ways of doing businesses and industries are disrupted all the time. So you have to be clear that even if you are making a certain type of income, that's not always promised. So make sure that you are building and attaching assets, even in the things that you drive, specifically in the things that you spend your money on, like, where you live and, the automobile that you drive. Really important. I know a lot of people don't think about this. A lot of people, don't want to think about this. This is one of those things that a lot of people don't want to think about because, it's really a personal thing. What you drive can be very personal and, how it makes you feel. And that's really what I'm getting at. The way things make you feel sometimes are to your detriment because you're not getting to the core issue of how those things are going to play out in terms of building wealth for you. So really think about that. Really consider that when you are buying your next automobile or, just buying your first automobile. Even buying your first automobile, I think that's the best time to think about it. Because, and I'm not going to lie to you, I've been there myself. Did the whole thing, the buying the expensive car thing, right out of college. And, it doesn't end well for most people because you get into a situation, like I said, where you are really in over your head. You're spending too much money. Even if you're making the money, it just becomes a liability and not an asset. So that's the second thing. The third thing is what you eat. What you spend your money on food-wise has a very big impact on how you're going to be able to build wealth. And it really can hurt your financial future. It really can hurt you financially because you can eat out all the time and, be eating certain things that really aren't good for you. Or, you can even be eating at home and not spending your money in a way that is conducive to, what you are really doing and just wasting money on the way you eat. And it really can hurt you financially. And I know a lot of people, don't think about this either. A lot of people, just go out and splurge on food. It's one of the things that, I like to eat too. I love to eat and I love to eat certain types of food. But there are instances where you can really save at eating and eat the foods that you want and eat high quality food without paying that extra, price tag. Just, be conscious of that because that is something that really will hurt you in terms of building wealth and in terms of being able to be financially free. That is something that really will hurt you if you aren't paying attention to it. So the way you eat. Now, this last thing is something that when we were having a discussion, I was like, oh my God, seriously, and people do this all the time. I've done it. I've been a victim of doing it myself. I've done it myself, and it's something that really does take you off course, and that is what you use as entertainment. And a lot of times we entertain too much negative conversation and too much negativity, and that really is one of the things that really will derail your financial situation, because it's such a symbiotic relationship between, you know, your emotional state and what you're allowing into your body. It really will or allowing into your gates, your eyes, your ears. It will literally control your mood every day. Like, if you have you ever found yourself waking up trying to find what was going wrong with somebody else, or going wrong in the world? You get into that state or that cycle where every day you're seeking out information that is about the negative things that are happening. And the news cycle is very good at this. The news cycle will make you feed into everything negative in the world, and you try to seek out that information every day. This is a very dangerous thing to do, for your financial situation, because what it does is it keeps you in that loop of negativity, and you aren't able to think about the positive things, or the positive, ways that you want to improve your situation or grow at what you're doing. If you're constantly consuming or entertained by negativity, oh my God, man, it's such a dangerous thing to do. And it's so easy to do, because it's funny how negativity makes us feel, or negative situations about other people sometimes makes us feel better about ourselves. And this is the guilty pleasure of everybody. Everybody has this guilty pleasure of watching other people unravel, and that makes you feel like, oh, my situation isn't that bad. So you constantly seek out that type stuff, and it's like, that's a dangerous thing to do, because yes, it's giving you that immediate moment, or that immediate hit of, hey, I don't have it that bad, but you're never getting out of that cycle, because you're not thinking about the things that are going to help you. You're thinking about the things that are bad for someone else, that's bad, that's going on in someone else's life. So don't get caught up in that. What you consume as entertainment is very, very important to your financial future and your financial freedom. And I know this is something that's going to be a hard pill to swallow for a lot